right. Are we live? I think we're live. All right. Welcome, everybody. It's one of my favorite streams of the month is the live feedback session. All right. So if you're new to the channel, basically what we do last stream of every month is just a chance to listen to music submitted by you guys. I have some information. I give some information on Instagram and on YouTube on posts that I make with instructions on how to submit. I believe there's like a 3-minute length limit. I ask for specific requests on what you want feedback on, and additional notes. So we've got a couple submissions this week, and I'm excited. So let's see here. Welcome, Gabriel. Welcome, TPW. All right. So as you guys may have noticed, I've got a new format for the streams. I'm experimenting with a little bit of a backdrop now. Right now, since I am celebrating 6 years of pursuing composition, I have a sale going on my website. So you can go to Tabletop Composer. Let me pull this up. tabletopcomposer.com. You can go to my bookshop and you can get anything. You can get my book on balancing the orchestra, emotions and music, MIDI mockups, my textbook, just the ebook version. Physical copies are on Amazon, so the coupon code does not work there. You can also get notes and slides from all of my past videos or most of my past videos. But yeah, everything is 30% off with the coupon code 6years. All caps, no spaces. You can see that on your screen right now. Welcome, Judith. All right, so without further ado, let's jump in, shall we? So the first submission by Mustard Seeds Beats. All right, so the request, how is the overall mixing in my song? And is there anything I can do to improve upon that? Additional notes. So Mustard Seeds Beats has been doing music for 3 years as a hobby and is starting to take it as a lifetime career. Awesome. Congrats. That's awesome. The predominantly self-taught in mixing through YouTube and other sources, but couldn't get actual feedback from an actual professional. So thank you for taking a listen and for your feedback. My pleasure. I really enjoy this stuff. Let's give it a listen.
Wix
gives
you the power of
That's
AI
right.
to build the website you need.
All right, I'm liking the vibes. There we go. There we go. I love that horn part. Excellent. That was... Wow. All right. What to say? All right, so Mustard Seeds Beats. All right, so definitely, I'm glad you're trying to do this professionally. This is incredible. I gotta organize my thoughts. So, beat making is a little different from composing. It's not completely different. They're just different genres for the most part. But you did an amazing job. All right, the song structure was amazing. You changed your textures and instrumentation while maintaining a constant motif through with the percussion it sounds. It's just, this is very, very well done. I don't even think I have anything I can offer here. The mix sounded great. It was super catchy, super funky. It worked really, really well as just the backing track for vocals, because this, man, I don't know. Do you guys have anything to say? Let's see, what do you have to say about this in the thing? All right, awesome. So yeah, you're selling it. That's good. This is just really well done, my friend. This is amazing. Yeah. I wish I had more I could offer, but honestly, your request was, how was the overall mix in my song? Is there anything you can improve upon? The mix sounded great to me. All right, nothing sticks out to me as needing improvement. I'm sure there's something. So that's one of the limitations of doing these live streams, these live reactions, is I'm limited to a first-time playthrough. I listen to it once, and then I have to come up with something. So when I do feedback like this, I'm typically looking for at least 3 things. And these are 3 things that I mention in the competitions that I host. The first is clarity of design. This sounds great. It doesn't sound too busy. It doesn't sound cluttered. There was no point in this music where I was trying to think, all right, what am I supposed to be paying attention to? All right, you've got it very well balanced. You can always tell what is the most important idea, what is the most interesting idea. It doesn't require a lot of effort to try and think, whoa, is that the melody? Or is this the melody kind of thing? It sounds very clear. It's very easy and natural to listen to. The other 2 things I listen for are what I like to call bumps and dips. They're kind of the same thing. A bump is basically just anytime I hear something that feels out of place. So imagine you're driving on a highway, you hit a bump, that bump jars you, all right? It makes you realize, like, oh, that wasn't supposed to be there. Same thing, you're driving and you hit a dip. A dip is when you're expecting something to be there, but it isn't. Or it feels like something's missing. And at no point did I feel either of these in this arrangement. At all times, it felt like it was just very fluid. It sounded very natural. It sounded very well done. Definitely a professional level production. So congratulations, this is amazing. I don't think I have anything to offer other than praise. So very well done. Let's see here, comments. Jack, welcome to the stream, Jack. It's been a while. Yep, lots of people getting 90s vibes. Yep, I was catching that too. This is awesome. All right. Awesome. Yeah, so the chat all seems to be in agreement. This is just very well done. Mustard Seed Beats. Check them out, people. Very strong start. All right, next one. Gabriel Carlisle. All right, so requests. I'm struggling with adding more to this written piece. I'm unsure how I can add more variety and seem to run into issues around 1 minute and 20 seconds. All right, and because I'm not sure what to do with the woodwinds. Okay. I want them to have a sort of counterpoint, but not fugue-like or canon-like. Just something separate from the other musical ideas being shown. I struggle with counterpoint. All right, good to know. So you're feeling like you're running into issues around 1 minute and 20 seconds, not knowing what to add to the piece. And not sure how to use the woodwinds. You have an idea of what you want them to do, but you feel like you're not very good at counterpoint. I can help with that. After this repeated area, I also run into a lack of woodwinds, and I feel as though the strings are doing too much here. All right, we'll see. Returning to the A theme, everything is just repeated. How can I add variation without making my listener feel too far from home? Anyways, thanks for so much. Let me know if the orchestration is good and harmonies as well. You got it. Let's do this. All right, awesome. So it sounds like we've got a more traditional instrumental piece coming here. Welcome, Tamashi. Let's see here. Let's give a listen to Gabriel's piece.
Are you tired spending hours planning your week, feeling overwhelmed with work, or figuring out what to do next?
Not
Well, what if I told
particularly.
you that
Ooh. I'm liking this already. Yo, all right. So around here. Beautiful melody. Beautiful. This is wonderful. Excellent work, Gabriel. Excellent. I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. Oh, we got some good information on the story here, too. Very nice. So, I don't want to get off track. So, there are some things I want to say here. All right, so you talk specifically about wanting to add some counterpoint, about 1 minute and 20 seconds. So I've actually covered counterpoint a couple times on this website, on this channel. If you look up Tabletop Composer /counterpoint, you'll see I have counterpoint made simple. This video right here is probably one of the videos I'm most proud of. I also have live streams that I've done about it. Yeah, you'll see there's a couple different options available. I would recommend this one if you want to learn more about counterpoint. I should probably change that thumbnail, see if I can get something more interesting. But the main thing I want to bring up here is the way you word some of these questions. For example, because you're not sure what to do with the woodwinds. Or over here, you run into a lack of woodwinds, and you feel as if the strings are doing too much here. So, valid points, but the main issue here is you're thinking of orchestration through an instrumentation lens. You're thinking, I have these instruments, and I have to use all the instruments. And then the problem with it is you feel like, all right, I'm not using the woodwinds right now. I need to come up with something for them to do, right? But that's not the mark of truly great orchestration. So I should actually make some notes here. So orchestration should be approached as layers and not instruments. All right, this is one of the easiest mistakes to make as a beginner, is to think of this as the opposite and thinking instrumentation and orchestration is all about the instruments. Saying, all right, I've got clarinets, I've got flutes, I've got oboes. What can each of these instruments be doing right now? Instead of thinking, I have a melody, I have some rhythmic chords, I have a bass line, and I have a counter melody. Which instruments fit each one best? That's really the approach you should be taking. At no point should you be thinking, the clarinets aren't doing anything here, I got to give them something to do. You're robbing yourself of one of the greatest strengths of the orchestra if you focus too much on making sure all the instruments are being used as much as possible. The single greatest strength of the orchestra is the sheer variety of different colors and sounds that it is capable of producing. And if you're constantly trying to figure out a way to use every single instrument, you're really limiting yourself by having just a very small selection, comparatively speaking, of colors. And that's the color of all the instruments being used. Now, obviously, you're not using a full orchestra in this arrangement, or at least it doesn't look like you are. But you don't have to use all of it. It's perfectly fine to just use a string-heavy section. If you feel like you are missing something after 120, which personally I did not think you were, but if you feel like you're missing something, you want to think specifically about what layer you're trying to add. And having an idea of a counterpoint line, that's a pretty cool idea. I think that would work really well. But you want to make sure that if you are adding that counterpoint line, you're adding it because you want that counterpoint line, not because you want to have the woodwinds do something. That's just not a good enough reason. I studied with a professor once who told me that at no point should you be thinking about what should this instrument be doing. You should be thinking more along the lines of which instrument is best for this role, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Now, when it comes to returning to the A theme and wanting to add some variation without making it sound super weird, two strategies that work really well are shift the instrumentation / size. Meaning you can add more instruments or you can change instruments. So if memory serves, you had the flute playing the main melody. So what happens if you swap the flute for a clarinet? Or maybe an oboe, or possibly a bassoon if you adjust the range or something. Change the instrumentation a little bit. Have just a couple instruments here and there. Change them to give a slightly different sound. Or you can change the texture, which is the number and types of layers used in your music. These two strategies are very common in John Williams' music. John Williams very frequently repeats simple ideas, but when he repeats them, he changes the instrumentation. A common example would be, all right, introducing the love theme on a flute kind of idea, a solo flute. Then you repeat the love theme a second time. And now it's being played by a flute and the first violins in unison. Then it gets repeated a third time. And to make it feel even bigger, now it's the full, like you got multiple string sections playing in octaves, along with the flutes and a couple other woodwind instruments, doubling in size to increase the size. Another way is to change the texture. Say you introduce with a solo flute, and then you double it. And this time you add the first violins to the flute. But underneath, the violas are now entering. And they're playing a very simple counter melody moving down. And then you go to the next section, and now the celli are entering on a bass line. It's becoming a thicker, richer texture, if that means anything. The idea that you're having more layers, more ideas being played at the same time. So, all this to say, I think this is an incredibly well-written piece. All right, I very much enjoyed this. I think for your feedback, I think the best feedback is just this idea that you should start focusing on changing your frame of mind. Instead of thinking, what can I have these instruments do? Think about what layers do I need in my music and which instruments are best used for this. You think about Claude Debussy, one of the most famous orchestral composers in the repertoire. Beautiful textures, beautiful sounds, was very particular about which instruments he used and when. Sometimes having an entire orchestra on stage, but you're only featuring 2 or 3 players. Don't be afraid to just limit your choices to only what's necessary to get the sound you want. And then if you want to add variation to an idea without actually changing the idea too much, changing the instrumentation and or size as well as changing the texture are 2 very strong strategies. Let's see what the comments are saying. So welcome Tamashi, welcome Ship Shakur. So Ship Shakur says currently working on a massive solo singer plus rock plus chorus plus orchestral work, so didn't finish the feedback one. No worries. That sounds like a fun project to be working on. Rafe, it's so yes, I agree. This is very pretty. Awesome. So some great feedback on the music. People are loving this piece, Gabriel. So Gabriel's going to watch the counterpoint videos. Wonderful. Yes, Ship Shankar offering some great advice using the orchestra as a palette, not a single color. Jack says, going to see an orchestra in person really changed my perspective on the subject. Performers are fine with doing nothing until the very end if necessary. Yes, very, very true. Having played in an orchestra before, not professionally, yeah, it's pretty commonplace. It's very common for instrumentalists to just kind of sit there for a little bit. In fact, if you go to an orchestra, you'll see at some points, entire sections of the orchestra will just get up and leave. So, like, you might finish a piece, and everybody's like, oh, that was a wonderful, beautiful piece. And then you watch, like, oh, what's happening over here? The trombones and tubas are leaving. It's like, oh, well, they're not needed for the next 15 minutes, so they're just going to go out back. and not just sit on stage awkwardly. So yeah, you're fine to just not. You don't need to make sure every instrument is being used. That's not a sign of being professional. A lot of beginners have this idea that if you're not using every instrument, you're outing yourself as an amateur, and that's just not true. It's the exact opposite. A true professional uses only what they need to achieve the sound that they want. Yep, so yeah, people really like this piece. Well done, Gabriel. Excellent, excellent, wonderful. So, next we have Judith. All right, so Judith, this one is a little special. Judith, so let's start over here. If this is the one I'm remembering. Is this Judith? Yeah, this is Judith. Judith, so Judith has a piece. Oh yes, right here. The music came before the video. I tend to compose how I feel, and as this has been quite a tragic summer and a summer of unrest due to a tragic incident, I wrote this on the back of all the images that came from summer here in the UK, and this is demonstrated within the video. It is a beautiful, moving tribute. I recommend everybody check out the video on your own, but as you can see, I'm going to share this in the comments. But as you can see, there are some distressing imagery. There is some distressing imagery in the videos. And because YouTube tends to be very, very finicky, as in whenever I set up a stream, I have to say exactly, is there going to be any violence in the videos? No. Is there going to be any disturbing images in the stream? No. I have to say all that ahead of time. And so I don't want to run the risk, so I will be playing this video off screen. All right? And we will still listen to the music together. But if you want to watch the video, I'm going to put it in the chat. You can watch it there. Excellent. So let's listen to this. This is a very beautiful piece. And Judith asks, I would love feedback on the actual arrangement and overall piece in general. This started off as just writing for strings, but I doubled with some horns and woods to bring out some of the lines of the melody and counter melodies. Beautiful, beautiful. Additional notes, the video looks like it's over 3 minutes, but the music is actually 3 minutes. I just exported empty bars when I exported as an MP3 and created a video for it, so it's longer than it actually is. Yeah, that's fine. I get that quite a bit. But we'll move this over here, and we'll just listen to it. This is gorgeous. Y'all are making my job so hard this week. Oh, come on. Can anybody at least have at least one glaring mistake I can get feedback on? Oh, this is wonderful. This is a beautiful, beautiful piece and such a genuinely wonderful example of just, yeah, Rafe has it right on the back, writing tragic music. Rafe on the come up says, this feels so tragic. Yes, it does. And I don't feel like I have anything to offer. One thing I will say, there are a couple moments throughout this arrangement that instrumentally aren't realistic. What do I mean by that? There's a moment where like it sounds like you have a solo oboe or solo bassoon coming out very loudly against multiple string sections, playing very loudly. That's probably just not going to happen. It could if you've got it mic'd or you're featuring a soloist or you've got the strings playing quieter and the oboe is allowed to play a little louder. There's a couple moments where the balance isn't realistic, but that's not necessary unless you're trying to actually have this performed by a real group. In which case, you'd want to try and adjust it a little bit. A shameless plug here. If you want to know how to make instruments balance, this ebook right here, How to Balance the Modern Orchestra, will tell you exactly how many oboes you need to balance. Technically, I'll tell you right now, one oboe playing pianissimo to mezzo piano can match, basically in width and dynamics, one string section, like a first violins, playing at the same dynamic level. If you go mezzo forte or louder, you're going to need at least 2 or 3 oboes playing in unison to match the same dynamic width and quality or fullness of sound that it would require for a single string section. Again, everything on my website right now is for sale using the coupon code that you can see on the screen right here underneath my screen. It says coupon code 6 years, get 30% off. And that's everything you buy. Everything on here on this page is 30% off to celebrate 6 years of me being a composer, essentially. 6 years since I wrote my very first piece. So back from the shameless plug. So other than a couple balance issues here and there that are really only an issue if you want to get this performed well, this is just a brilliantly well done piece. So Rafe mentions, again, Rafe specifically, Rafe on the come up says that this feels tragic. And do you know why it feels tragic? Because tragedy is a flavor of sadness, or it's a quote unquote sad emotion. All right. Putting a big umbrella over it. We understand that emotions in music come down to 3 things: valence, size, and energy/movement. These 3 elements come from a psychometric tool called the circumplex model of affect, which is a tool used in psychological research and therapy for helping to describe emotions. If you can describe an emotion based off how dark or bright it is, how overwhelming it is, and how energizing or depleting it is, you've got a pretty solid description of the music. Now, as well, you can just have music that sounds equally dark or bright, equally overwhelming, and equally depleting or energizing. So sadness, and I actually have a post about this, I believe. Instagram, find my page. Where is it? Oh yeah, 3 levels of sad music. Did I cover tragedy in this one? So generic sadness, valence, it's just a dark experience. It's pretty small and intimate, and it's low energy. So then I have a quick music description of it. Grief or tragedy, the biggest difference is the size, the level of how overwhelming it is. Being sad versus being grief-stricken is largely due to a level of how overwhelming the emotion is. Now, what you did wonderfully here, Judith, is controlling the size of your arrangement, and that has a profound impact emotionally on your audience. Starting with a simple, sad melody in the strings, introducing your theme, and then expanding into a full string section. And then beyond that, adding the horns, adding the woodwinds, bringing in the percussion section. It has a tremendous impact on the size of your music, which helps underline how overwhelming the emotion feels. So I believe I have a video about this somewhere. Let me tell you here, tabletop composer, tragic music. Oh yeah, here we go. How to write music for tragedy and grief. It's a 12-minute video. Just over a year old. You can check this out. It'll give you a nice template for putting it all together. Again, shameless plug, this book right here, Emotions and Music, is available, again, 30% off at the coupon code that you see on your screen. I also teach a class. The cohort, that's supposed to be closed. The cohort, we are finished with week 1. If you wanted to enroll, you could technically still enroll. That would be up to you. I wouldn't recommend it, though, since we're already 1 week in. And that is supposed to be closed. I just forgot to do it because I'm lazy. But if you want to learn more about Emotions and Music, you can check out my ebook version of the class. Again, 30% off using the coupon code on your screen. But Judith, again, beautiful, beautiful arrangement. Very well done. Like I said, if I had one thing I'd point out, there are just a couple moments where the balance between your instruments is a little, like I said, unrealistic. But again, if you don't plan on having this performed live, then that's not an issue. A lot of film music these days is very unrealistic in terms of what would be expected in a concert hall. That's why a lot of film music has to be rearranged for a concert hall, because in a film, it doesn't need to be performed live. You can afford to amp up the level of an oboe soloist. You can afford to have 200 stringed instruments players. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff with film music. And so a lot of times when a film score needs to be adapted for concert performances, they have to get someone to actually arrange it for an actual orchestra. Similar to how if you took a piece for an orchestra and then a marching band wanted to do it, you'd have to have someone rearrange it so it could be fit a typical ensemble for a marching band and not an orchestra. It's just about different settings. But wonderful work, Judith. Wonderful. Perform examples are Pacific strings and solo strings, violin, and cello. Awesome. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So next we have Sweet Memories. All right, Sweet Memories. Can you tell me what emotions you felt from this piece and whether it told a coherent story? Here are some things I struggled with and want to improve regarding this piece in no particular order. I didn't really know what to do with the left hand on the piano from bar 13 onwards. How can I make that more interesting while still contributing to the bittersweet nostalgic mood of the vibe? Oh, I think I just ruined what I was supposed... Okay, sorry about that. Did I voice the strings properly? I wanted everything before the key change in bar 22 to feel more bittersweet. What could I change or add or remove to achieve that? And how can I make the key change in bar 22 feel more unexpected but not entirely out of place? And the strings are very simple, only playing chords. How can I make them more interesting without creating too much clutter? All right, those are a lot of requests, Sweet Memories. I will see what I can do. But first things first, we need to listen to your piece. Let's do it. Beautiful, beautiful. Incredible arrangement. Very nice job, Sweet Memories. All right, so let's see what kind of feedback you wanted. All right, so what kind of emotions did you feel from this piece? I was definitely getting a little bit of the nostalgia. It sounds like you were working with MuseScore. There's only so much expressiveness that you can get from performance in MuseScore. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Definitely getting kind of those sweet, bittersweet kind of nostalgic vibes that you were going for. I think that works well. There are a couple moments where it's felt a little crunchy, where you had a bit of dissonance, but that's okay. One thing that I did notice that you did not ask is there are a few moments where the oboe went a little out of its preferred range. Typically, for an oboe, you wouldn't want to have the oboe go much higher than a D6, which is the D just above high C. Not that it can't go much higher, and it can. It depends on the skill of the player you're working with in particular. But it does tend to become significantly thinner as it goes higher and higher in its range. And depending on the skill level, possibly a little squeakier as well. So it might not provide the same kind of sweet feeling that you are looking for. If you want to learn more about instrumentation, I have a free class, Tabletop Music Academy. This is my passion project, 4 free classes. You can check out Orchestration 1, Instrumentation. It'll tell you all about writing for the oboe. And then again, going back to, if you want to check out this book here, this book will tell you all about not just balancing the instruments, but also their preferred registers and which registers to write for, things like that. Another option, if you're looking for a big all-arounder, is my textbook. My textbook on music composition has an entire section. This book is split into 3 sections. First section is all about harmony and telling music with stories with chords. Then the second part is all about melody writing and structuring music as a whole to tell the story. And then the part 3 is all about orchestration. So there's a whole thing about it, the oboe, in there. Again, everything on sale, 30% off using the coupon code you see on your screen. But off of my soapbox. So let's see here. So first off, piano form, not knowing sure what to do with your left hand. This becomes, again, very similar to what we were saying in that very first piece second piece for Gabriel Carlisle. It's not about what the instrument should be doing, but more about the layers you want. So don't think about what should my left hand of my piano be doing. You want to think about what do I want in my music. It's very common, actually, it's not very common, but it's not uncommon to have a piano player only use their right hand at certain moments in a piece of music. That's perfectly acceptable. It might feel a little weird as a composer, but it's perfectly acceptable. So it's not about wondering what should the left hand be doing. It's more about what layers do I want in my music. Do you want an arpeggio? Do you want a counter melody? Do you want your chords, rhythmic ideas? Anything you can add. What are you looking for in your music? And then is the left hand of the piano best suited for it? Voice leading in the strings properly. It sounded good. I'm going to be honest, with just one pass through, I was listening to the music, so I didn't really check to see if everything was textbook, but it sounded fine, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Wanting to change everything in bar 22. Let's see, where was bar 22? The key change. Where was bar 22? It's taking forever to load. So we're right there. Let's move forward a bit. All right. So maybe it's just taking too long. So with modulating, there is something called a gear shift modulation, or it's a colloquial term, gear shift modulation, where you just suddenly change keys without any preparation. It's very common in pop music. It's very common in film music. It's very common in many genres these days, where you're just in one key one moment and then boom, you lift everything up by one whole step or something. And it's a distant key, distant meaning how many sharps or flats they have in common. So for example, here's a stupid little idea I was working on earlier just for fun and an exercise. If I were to take everything, we see this is in C major. There are no sharps, no flats. And if I just go up 2, even though the notes were only shifted slightly, suddenly we've got significantly more sharps. We have F sharp, we have C sharp. Is there anything else? D sharp, A sharp. There's all kinds of sharps in here. So that's a distantly related key. It's not about how far the notes are away from each other. It's about how far apart their key signatures are away from each other. So gear shift modulations are a very useful tool for a dramatic modulation, a dramatic shift. Uh-oh, what's going on? Is it buffering? It looked like it may have been buffering. Not sure. Doesn't look like it's buffering. But so a dramatic shift, you can do something like that where you just take everything and raise the pitch by a whole step or something. Or you can drop the pitch by a whole step. That's a great way to create a dramatic shift without having to make it sound too prepared. Now, if you want to make it sound smooth, there are a couple different things you can do. So gear shifts, modulation equals dramatic. All right. Raising the note. So if you raise the notes equals more tension, dropping the notes equals reducing tension. Another way you can think of it is if you take the notes and you raise them a little higher, it creates a brighter sound. If you drop the notes, it creates a darker sound. One of the nice example, like metaphors I heard is that it takes more energy to fight gravity. So raising your notes up adds energy to your music, while just letting it go and letting gravity take you down takes less energy, so it drops energy as you go down. Now, if you want to use a gear shift modulation to have a dramatic effect, but you don't want it to sound completely out of place, a couple things you can do. Use drum rolls / cymbal rolls to build into the modulation. Have your melody move in the direction of your modulation. So if your modulation is going up, have your melody start moving up in pitch. Or have other layers of your music move in the direction. Maybe you have a glissando that moves up as you modulate up in pitch, or maybe it goes down as you modulate down in pitch. It's a very simple idea, pretty typical, very easy and satisfying way to create a dramatic sound and yet make it sound somewhat prepared. And then so strings sounding very simple, playing chords, but you want to make them more interesting without creating too much clutter. I am going to recommend something called part writing. Again, I'm trying not to go too deep into things today, but if you look up Tabletop Composer, part writing, you're going to get this video, part 9 of my harmony playlist, part writing. It's a bit of a longer time, but it teaches you how to add more movement to your it's kind of like a mix between just simple voice leading and counterpoint. It's a way of adding some more movement to your chord progressions and to make them sound a little more dynamic. Alternatively, again, you always have my textbook, which has a good chunk about part writing in there. And you have the Academy page, which again, my Music Theory and Harmony 1 class will discuss part writing at some point. But yeah, all of these are free classes. You are encouraged to donate if you are able, just to help fund future classes being made. But again, last thing, check out the prices, everything, again, on sale. Coupon code 6years to get 30% off whatever you want from my bookstore. But wonderful work. I think this is a very well done piece. I believe it was very well. I really enjoyed it, and I hope that, I was able to provide some useful feedback. So again, just kind of feedback, kind of summarize what we went over. Don't worry too much about trying to find specific things for a specific instrument to do. You want to think about it really, what layers do you want for your music? Instead of thinking, all right, I'm using the piano, so now the left hand has to do something. What should I have the left hand do? You should think, what layers do I want in my music? I have a melody, I have a counter melody, I have chords and a bass line. Which of those do you want the left hand to help with? And in what way? Maybe you decide that you do want it to do the chords, but you want it to do arpeggiated chords. Or maybe you want it to do a bass line, but you want to embellish the bass line. There's all kinds of things you can do. You can also just say, all right, at this particular moment, I don't have anything for the left hand to do, so I'm not going to have the left hand do anything. Again, changing your mindset from an instrumentation-focused mindset to an arranging mindset. Instead of thinking, all right, I have this instrument, what are they going to do? Thinking, all right, I have these layers, I have these ideas I want in my music. Which of these available instruments are the best choice to play them? But wonderful work, wonderful work. Is Sweet Memories on here? No, I don't see them, unfortunately. Anywho, wonderful. We are on to our last one, a regular on the channel, Shiv Shankar Roy. All right, so requests. How to express deep emotions through music and orchestration. That's a big ask. How to find chords for melodies, like not general chords, but chords that sound better and more touching. How to voice instruments, specifically brass, to get a ringing and golden effect. And how to write soaring lines like a soaring string section like Wagner and Rachmaninoff. Excellent questions. These are wonderful questions. They go a little beyond the scope of practice for this feedback session, though. We're looking more about feedback. I'll see if I can provide a little bit of feedback. A couple of these I can just riff off right immediately. But for the most part, we're looking mostly on how can I provide feedback on this specific piece. So, Shipshankar, if you, oh yeah, you are in here. I got some I got some questions. So, Shipshankar, what is the biggest movie I have scored on? 6 years special question. Good question. So the weird thing is I actually haven't done any big movies. I've done lots of short films, but my biggest features have actually been on stage. So I would say probably the largest scale production I've ever worked on was the most recent. Well, technically it's no longer my most recent, but it's the musical / play that I scored that debuted last May. It was a full featured length production. So between like an hour and a half to 2 hours long. Lots of music and lots of songs. On top of that, there were multiple different genres of music involved with it as well. And it was one of those productions where, because I'm not based in New York, I had to get a music supervisor. I told them that you need a budget for a music supervisor who can be my voice in New York for me, for the rehearsals, make sure that the interests of my music and me are being protected during the rehearsals, things like that. So that one, that was a lot of fun to work on. Right now, I can't say anything specific, but that play is looking to be produced potentially in Chicago. So hopefully I'll get to go to another debut for that play soon. But I'd say that was probably the biggest production I've worked on. It was like I said, full feature length play. Movies wise, I've only done short films so far. I would love to do a full length production. And there are some possibilities coming up. We'll see. Right now, I'm working on a couple different soundtracks, so I'm not looking to pick up any new projects just yet, but I'm open to future productions as well. But good question. So let's see here. So Shipshankar, so since you are on here, Shipshankar, do you have any specific requests for this particular piece? Since we're not going to be doing too many kind of deep tutorials on a feedback stream. I'll let you pop that in the comments for now, but for now, let's listen to it, shall we? Oh, additional notes. This is my sweetest work outside of big, massive cinematic orchestral music. All right, so is this sweet as in like dulce? Like in Spanish, like a sweet, like a nice, like sweet thing? Or is it sweet as in like this is awesome? Let's find out. All right. How's the harmony? I can work with that. Poor flute player. Oh, that was thrilling. Wonderful work. All right, so a couple things. There were a few moments throughout there. Okay, so first off, your quest for the harmony. Harmony was very well done. I didn't think there were any issues that felt super like crunchy or out of place, harmonically speaking. A couple things that I can provide feedback on, though. Same kind of thing that we heard with Judith, although this one was easier to pinpoint because you had the actual sheet music on there. There are a couple moments where the balance just wouldn't work. For example, having an oboe play near the mid-lower range of its instrumentation at fortissimo, that could technically work. It would just require more balance against a full string section. To be heard, it would require extra rehearsal time to make sure that the balance is done well. So a couple balance issues here and there. Nothing crazy bad. But again, if your goal is to write music for live performances, you'll want to check out, again, something about this, about like balancing your orchestra. Again, you don't have to get my book. All right, that's not necessary. Another really good one, Henry Brandt, Textures and Timbres. This is a really good book that you can check out. Excellent. And but yeah, so the balance was a couple issues here. There were a couple moments where it sounded a little clustered. Nothing bad. This is just me being picky. Because I know that you are a very talented writer, Shipshakar. So again, tabletop composer. You're gonna look up 3 pillars. I'm sure you've seen this one already, Shipshakar, but the 3 pillars of strong orchestration will walk you through balance, focus, and separation, which will help ensure the clarity in the sound of your arrangement. So clarity, when I say that music has an issue with clarity at any point, all I'm saying is it feels busy, where you're not sure, where your ear doesn't automatically snap to what's supposed to be the foreground. You don't know automatically what the main idea is supposed to be. So again, those basic ideas, balance, focus, and separation, are very, very useful for that. And again, that video that I showed you will go over that. But it was very, very well done. Very incredibly well done, people. You guys are so insanely talented. It makes this job so difficult to try to come up with feedback for you people. Other than just sitting here slack-jawed going, that was great, I loved it, which I did. Let's see here. Melody, and by the way, not a feedback question. Okay, so, and by the way, not a feedback question. How much do you recommend music composition as a career option? All right. I refuse to answer this in the way that you're probably hoping me to. I will never tell someone that music should not be their career or should be a good career. I'm just going to tell you about my experience. All right? And the experience of a lot of people I know. Music is not an easy path. All right? There will be lots of suffering. All right? There have been times where I've gone hungry. There have been times where I slept on a yoga mat. There have been times where you get close to just giving up. Where you're like, this can't possibly be worth it. Now, that depends on which path you go. I am one of those ridiculously stubborn and useless people who could not be good at anything other than music. I just don't have the heart for anything else. I can't see myself doing anything but music. And so for me, I'm willing to suffer for it. I hate myself for that sometimes. Fortunately, I'm no longer in that kind of position. I've been able to kind of make a comfortable spot for me. But there are prices to be paid. And I want to make it clear that music does not need to be a career, a full-time career, to be fulfilling. You can do music as a side gig. You can do music as a hobby. You can score films as a side hobby. It's widely available now. I would say if you want to pursue music as a career, you need to make sure that you are willing to pay the price, whatever that may be. Maybe it's easier for you than me. You never know. Some people are just, I'm sure you have more raw talent than I do. I very much stand by the fact that I do not believe I am inherently a talented musician. I just think I'm very, very good at teaching, including teaching myself. I'm very good at studying and learning. And so I decided I wanted to be a composer. I figured that was all I wanted to be. And so I put in the time to actually develop my skills and build this career for myself. So I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm kind of like rambling a little bit. All this to say, yes, I believe music. So I guess I am going to answer it. Yes, music is a viable option as a career. I'd say it's not a traditional career. You can find ways to do it. I would say you need to spend some time and think about what a music career looks like to you. Even Mozart taught lessons. Very, very few composers actually do it full time where that's the only thing they need to do. Does that mean it's impossible? No. Does that mean it's not even likely for someone like you? No, I'm not saying that either. I don't know you well enough to say whether it's likely or not. All I'm saying is you want to think about the kind of life you want. What level of comfort do you expect in your life? What level of security do you expect for your life? And then decide, how does music factor into that? There's a lot to go in, so I will not tell you whether or not music should be a career or not. I will simply say it can be. All right, it can be, and it's all about what you're willing to do and the quality of life you want and what music can provide you personally, because, of course, we're all different. That felt much more rambling than I was hoping it to be, but oh well. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Did that sound production? I was completely aware of that issue. I saw some nap for yeah. Nap for lunch, sleep for supper crew. Yep. Pretty much that I have had that. Yeah. The nap for lunch. I like that. Sleep for supper. I have had moments in my life like that. Like I said, I'm glad that they are, at least for now, mostly behind me, I hope. But yeah, there have been definitely moments where, you know, times were tough. But again, like I said, I am one of those supremely useless members of society where the only thing I can do is music. It's like, Hans Zimmer, like to say, Hans Zimmer's like, there is no backup for him. He would either be a musician or he couldn't do anything else. He's like, he couldn't be a dentist. He couldn't be anything. I very much feel the same. I don't think I could do anything other than music. Alex, goodness, I haven't eaten 3 days a year. Yep, see, so the struggle is real. I have a joke where I've received lots of emails in the past of people who told me that I inspired them to pursue music full time. And I have a running joke. I'm like, you can't blame that on me. You can't blame that on me. I was like, I'm very excited. I'm very grateful. I'm very, very, very grateful to say that I help inspire people. That's what I want to do. I want to inspire people. I received a really, really cool email recently from a 70-year-old man in Florida who was thanking me for helping him realize his lifelong dream of writing music. Because he found my channel recently and it had never clicked with him before. And that stuff, that's what I live for. But no, yeah, there are definitely moments where it can be a little challenging. Sending emails back, just no backseat, no backseats. Yep. Yep. So yeah, lean times for musicians, but it's definitely, if it's up to you. It's a decision only you can make. Now, if you want to help avoid lean times for your boy, Bookshop, last little thing here. All right, everything 30% off using the coupon code 6years. All right, you can grab all of these really cool things. You can grab my textbook. You can grab my Emotions and Music textbook. You can grab the balance book about how many oboes does it take to balance a string section? How many French horns does it take to balance flutes? Whatever. Or like I said, flutes to balance a French horn. You can get my guide to MIDI mockups. All 4 of these have been featured pretty prominently in the last couple streams. You can grab all of them and get 30% off the entire order. Everything you buy, the coupon code applies to everything in your cart. Check it out. You can get scripts from videos like my Skyrim template. You can get with a worksheet on how I make my templates, my composing workflow from the 5-year anniversary, arranging video slips and slides and scripts. I've got all kinds of stuff on here. And again, everything 30% off with the coupon code 6years. All caps, no spaces. So check it all out. For now, though, I think I'm going to call it a day, everybody. All right. So thank you for stopping by the stream. I hope you all had a wonderful time. You guys blew me away with the quality of the submissions this time. Next time, I promise I'll give you a little more heads up notice. I appreciate everybody for submitting things with such short notice. I had a lot of fun. I will see you all next week for the regular streams. All right. So make sure to follow me on YouTube, follow me on Instagram if you want to be alerted the next time I host a stream. But until next time, my friends, keep studying, keep working hard, and keep writing new music. I will see you all in the next stream. All right. Bye-bye.